We have no idea where they came from. Technically, we still don't know what they are, and there's a very real possibility that they could be extraterrestrial. Let's get to it. Now, first things first, we have two very intriguing discoveries of mysterious artifacts. That being said, those discoveries occurred during a really shitty time in Sierra Leone, Africa, in which local villagers were forced to look for blood diamonds in the early 1990s. So, that's how they were discovered, and that's all we're gonna say about that. Next, let's talk about those discoveries, beginning with the sky stones and the biggest question that surrounds them. What the fuck are they? Because even though they may look like stones, they're not. Let me explain. Each one of these stones has been poked, prodded, and studied over a dozen times by numerous universities, laboratories, and institutions using a multitude of tests, including X-ray and gas analysis, as well as running them through the gauntlet of spectrum analysis, including mass, plasma, and infrared. And here's what we know. 1. Rocks that contain a blue pigment such as turquoise, generally, are on the heavier side. However, that's not the case with the sky stones. And to this day, no one can explain where this blue pigment comes from. 2. The stones are made out of oxygen. I'm not kidding, because elemental analysis revealed a composition of over 75% oxygen and about 20% carbon, as well as trace amounts of silicon, aluminum, calcium, sodium, magnesium, and iron, which, according to the experts, is fucking unbelievable, leaving one university professor to proclaim, "This gives me the creeps." 3. The sky stones have only ever been found within this very small region of Sierra Leone, Africa, and nowhere else on the planet. 4. Dating of the soil in which the stones have been found places them anywhere between 15,000 to 55,000 years old, which, according to the experts, just deepens the mystery, because if they were hundreds of thousands of years old, then maybe they could at least consider a natural formation. But as it stands, with the dating, elemental composition, molecular structure, and the fact that nothing like this has ever been found anywhere else on Earth, experts agree that A. the stones are most likely manufactured, or another way to put that, man-made, and B. they didn't originate on Earth. That being said, publicly, the scientific stance is that further tests are needed. Which brings us to our second discovery, the statues of the Nomoli, who are said to be the ancient gods of the people who inhabited this land. And legend claims that when the Nomoli descended from the heavens, part of the sky turned to stone and rained down with them. Now, here's what we know about the statues. 1. They were discovered within the same region as the sky stones and right around the same time. 2. Mainstream theories suggest that the statues are only 500 years old, but that theory has since been debunked because 500 years ago was simply the time in which the local people first encountered Europeans. The actual age of the statues is closer to 17,000 years old because they were found at a depth of 150 feet, and when archaeologists carbon dated the strata that surrounded that area, 15,000 to 18,000 BC was the result. 3. Hundreds of these statues were discovered, and some of them had a chromium sphere embedded within them. Yep, perfectly spherical chromium spheres, which is super intriguing because chromium wasn't isolated until 1797. So even if the statues are only 500 years old, that's still 300 years too soon. Now, to recap, we have ancient sky blue stones that are clearly not stones at all. They clearly seem to have been manufactured, but clearly not by our hands. And said stones perfectly match an ancient legend detailing the Nomoli descending from the heavens at a location where ancient statues of the Nomoli were discovered, some of which were embedded with goddamn chromium spheres, and both the statues and stones date back to the exact same time period of around 15,000 years ago. But what does it all mean? Well, that part is up for you to decide. But if I had to guess, I would say that the local legends are 100% true, but what if it wasn't the actual sky that rained down with them, but rather pieces of a ship, maybe something like a heat shield? And the chromium spheres, it's crazy, are nothing more than extra pieces left over from the IKEA set that these ancient quote-unquote gods just left behind. But hey, that's just my opinion. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. What do you think?